looks horrible. Hi. I'm just okay. Pay attention to you. Hello, everybody. Thank you for clicking on Oakley joining me today. Hi. Uh, Communication breakdown and other things we're going to be talking about here. And wait for a minute for some people, hopefully, to click on as we get. She wants pets. She wants some attention, so I'll give her a little bit of screen time and a little bit of attention here while we wait for some people to jump on. If you don't know, this is Oakley. Normally, she does not join me in broadcast, but um, we had a whole bunch of storm, big time storm here today earlier, and the sun has now come out, and she hopped up here with me to look out the window and to get some scratches and some belly rubs. Um, so, hello everybody. Thank you for clicking on. And normally we're not on at this time. Um, we'll be on our regular time tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern time. Chris will be with us, and we'll be talking about Black Swan events, among other things. And whatever you may want to talk about, we'll be doing that tomorrow night. You'll have your chance to come up, join us, and talk about what you want to talk about if we haven't been talking about it, or if you have a question or comment on some of the things we have been talking about, you can do that tomorrow night at 9. But that's then 9 p.m. Eastern time, 8 Central, 7 Mountain, 6 Pacific. Chris will be joining. And now, though, we've got some things to talk about. Of course, number one on the list is that communication breakdown. But before I touch on that, Newsweek, black people will vote for Trump because, quote, they love sneakers, end quote, from a Fox News host. Okay, Oakley's going to go lay down on the floor in the sun. Yeah, I'm sure it is. Sorry about the hair. I wasn't intending on being on screen today. I was intending to clean, to be honest with you. Black people will vote for Trump because they love sneakers, according to Fox News host. And in case you don't believe that, we're going to show you the Fox News host coming up here in a few minutes. The FBI and other federal agencies, along with the Department of Homeland Security, will be investigating whether the AT&T outage was caused by a cyber attack. That's the main focus of doing this today. The outage earlier. Now, it wasn't only AT&T, but that seemed to be the company that was impacted the most. Other carriers were down, and you can they have sites specifically for tracking whether there's service or not and where service is out. And a lot of the major internet companies experienced service disruption, as well as the cell carriers. Now also experiencing disruption today. I've heard word from hospitals that insurance companies, as well as pharmacies, so the health system, communication systems, the internet in some cases, all potentially targeted today. If you watch the program, if you watch what we do on here, that we talk about the potential danger of solar flares. There were indeed 2 solar flares. I don't think they were directly targeting Earth. I don't think they were directly positioned to where they would target Earth. And if they did, as we'll show you coming up here, I do not think it hit the North American portion of the country or of the world. So I do not believe that it was a solar event. However, that does not mean, that doesn't mean that in the future solar events could happen that could cause this kind of damage, and more so because they've happened in the past, as we've talked about on here. Personally, I think this was a probe. I think this was an initial action to see how the systems responded, to see how quickly some companies came back up, and some are not back up as of 3:30 this afternoon when we're recording, or when I'm doing this live. So I'm pretty certain personally that the FBI and the DHS, if they give us the truth, will announce that this was indeed a limited cyber attack probe. Again, I'm personally, this is just my opinion. I think this is a probe to see how the systems respond. And again, tomorrow night at 9, we're going to talk in depth about all of this. And we had planned to do that anyway ahead of this. But the two top things as far as Black Swan, we'll talk again more about the Black Swan tomorrow night. Black Swan event. Anticipate a Black Swan event sometime between now and Election Day, November 2024. Okay, I think it'll be sooner rather than later. Again, I think this is a probe, trying to see how the systems react. How vulnerable are the systems? And don't be surprised if we do not see probes of a similar nature before a major attack. Again, to see how the systems respond. Don't be surprised if you don't see it happening in banking, in utilities, gas lines, water companies, things like that. Don't be surprised if you don't see these things coming, because that's what I feel is going to be coming. All right, couple of other things here. The Texas Baptist Children's Camp Assistant Director Nathan McDonald has been arrested for child sex crimes. This is not shocking anymore. This is becoming the norm, and this is an epidemic in our country. Child sexual predators, and it seems more and more are coming from the churches, the schools, the institutions where children should be safe. And we need to wake up to it. We need to wake up as a country and start giving a rat's ass about what's going on, because at the moment we don't. Plain and simple. Speaking of sexual crimes against children, there is a lot of allegations against the Church of Scientology, and possibly some activities coming up in opposition to that Church of Scientology this weekend. It's ongoing in Los Angeles, and we're going to touch on that coming up this weekend, as well as there may be some things going on that we'll be covering. So keep an eye on that on Saturday of this coming weekend. The Kremlin has released footage. It's called a thinly veiled nuclear threat. The Kremlin released footage. This came 5 hours ago. Vladimir Putin's flight on a Tu-160M nuclear bomber. Again, Putin is just in the co-captain's seat, and basically they're showing how easy it would be for them to attack Alaska. All right. In case you're just joining us, our main topic of conversation is the communication breakdown coming today. Solar flare interrupted. Solar flare erupted. Um, you'll see it coming up right there. And I do not think uh, Earth is basically positioned over in here. It may have been a glancing blow, but again, I personally do not think that um, these two flares, this one and then the one right down here, they're not coming towards Earth. The reported cellular outage is unlikely to be related to these events. Okay, so who's giving us this information? It's the National Organization of Atmosphere, uh, NOAA. Okay, and NOAA says, you know, I mean, if you watch the show, we've seen these things enough to know that, you know, if it's over here, if it was right here, if it was down here, yeah, but they aren't. And so I don't think it was I don't think it was solar flares. Some people are attributing cell network outage in the U.S. last night's X-class solar flare. However, flares can only cause radio degradation on the day side of the Earth, and of course, it was 2:00 in the morning, and the North American, South American part of the world was on the dark side. Here's primarily where flares only cause radio degradation. Okay, so here's where that degradation took place and was still ongoing when I checked earlier. Okay, Baptist Pastor Bobby Leonard, he's talking about women wearing shorts instead of wearing pants or dresses. And I'm not going to play him, but the main quote here is, if you dress like that, if you dress in a pair of shorts and you're not in a dress or in pants, if you dress like that and you get raped, I'm on the jury. He's going to go free because a man's a man. Maybe it's time to really put the wall up between church and state that Thomas Jefferson so eloquently talked about at the founding of our country, because and maybe that is taxation. Maybe it's time to start taxing all of these churches. If they're going to be political institutions, if they're going to be anything other than servants of the Lord, I don't know, just something to think about. Okay, again, I want to hold on. I want to get here. We go. Just so just so you can hear it for yourself.
Even the sneaker thing. I was on social media last night. Very interesting. As you see black support eroding from Joe Biden, this is connecting with Black America because they love sneakers. They're into sneakers. They love this is a big deal, certainly in the inner city. So,
okay, I want to apologize to all of my friends and viewers in the Black community. This is not my opinion. This is what Fox News, this clown right here from Fox News thinks of the Black community, that they're going to simply vote for Trump because Trump's got sneakers. Now, just in case you thought that was the case, couple of seconds here.
And Donald Trump just released tops. There's only 1,000 being released at $400 a pop. They will probably not put a dent in the judgment against him. So I hit the streets today to talk to some real sneakerheads to see if these are cop or drop.
I think that there's no rules in fashion. You
Okay.
can wear whatever you want, but me personally, I would not wear it.
Would you cop these? Like,
No.
would you wouldn't?
Nope.
Looks very 2009 dated.
That look like they don't bend. What are your thoughts on this? Yeah, because like, what grade are you in?
7th.
You're in 7th grade.
Yeah.
How tall are you?
6'1".
By the way, so just so that in case there were any doubts of anybody watching, the black community, the majority of the black community are very intelligent people, and they're not going to fall for Fox News telling the white people that the blacks are going to vote for Trump because of sneakers. The World Economic Forum, the WEF, if you watch the program, we talk a lot about the WEF, the WHO. The WEF is predicting a catastrophic cyber event likely in the next 2 years. That was at their 2023 meeting. So, again, a lot of people today woke up and freaked out because they had an SOS on their AT&T phones. Most of the other carriers had been brought back online by then. So if you had Verizon or T-Mobile or Straight Talk or whatever it may be, your service was already back before you woke up this morning, more than likely. But the AT&T customers, their service wasn't back. And the only way they could use their phone was by going somewhere where the Wi-Fi was available. That's the only way they could use their device. And a lot of people freaked out over this, because we are so accustomed to our phones and the internet, let alone electricity, hot water, the things we take for granted, that are all potentially very vulnerable in cyber attacks. So at some point, we will probably wake up, and there will be, it will be like the movie, what, Leave America Behind, I think, was that the name of it? It was something like that. The Obama movie. All the power's out, all the internet's out. If all the power's out, all the gas pumps are out. You're not getting fuel. There are dominoes to all of this. At some point, unless things drastically change, at some point we are going to wake up to a similar situation, or not necessarily wake up, but at some point, it may be 12 noon, it may be 6 in the evening. At some point, when we are attacked, everything's going to go out. It may just be the phones. It may be the phones and the internet. It may be the phones, the internet, the power, the water, everything. At that point, what did it or who did it will be on everybody's minds, but it shouldn't be, because it won't matter. It won't matter who did it. It won't matter how it was done. What you have to, you're going to have to switch a switch on in your head that we are in a new time frame, and the old rules will not apply. And when we talk to you, and I've got episodes, I got a series about, being prepared, about being prepared spiritually, emotionally, mentally, as well as, food and water and first aid, physical preparedness. And we don't, it's not because we want everybody to survive. It's because we don't want people falling prey to what may come. And there are those that laugh at it, and there are those that don't believe it could ever happen to them. And we should really take this as a wake-up call. We should, how did you feel this morning if you were one of those people that your phone didn't work, or your phone worked, but the people you check in with each day, their phones weren't working? Now, at some point, again, everything's going to shut down. Catastrophic cyber event, the WEF is telling us, and the FBI has told us. That the Chinese themselves, they know that the malware, they've implanted the malware. We can't get rid of it. It's here. It's just waiting to be triggered. Another thing we're going to have to talk about is the number of illegal migrants in our country, and not only the idea of the burden economically is well established in talking points. The potential danger is not so well established, and Chris and I are going to be talking about that again tomorrow night at 9:00, and you'll be able to hop up and join us. 100 illegal migrants attacking security officers at a Home Depot. It happened on the 20th of this past month, so 2 days ago. And again, the mainstream media is not talking a lot about the things that are going on. Chicago Home Depot. So let me hop back over to the chat for just a moment, see if anybody's in chat. There are some people in chat. Hello, everybody. Thank you for hopping on. Let me say hi to Not Going Away Always. Black Eyed Peas, Nancy McMonarch. Thank you all. Pink Flamingo, Toby and Kelly. Pat Tolliver. Hello, Pat. Again, thank you all for clicking on. The FBI, Department of Homeland Security, are currently investigating what happened, why the communication breakdown today. Now this you can just take this at its face value. Texas Governor Greg Abbott has talked about building a wall between Texas and Oklahoma because of the radical woke left agenda crisscrossing the United States. So there, as asinine and absurd as it may sound when you hear me say these words, there is a serious effort underway for Texas to leave the United States and become its own country. Okay. 2 years ago, there was rumblings about FAT, F for Florida, A for Arizona, T for Texas, the FAT agenda, that those three countries were going to leave the United States and form their own country. Texas has pretty much gone on its own. Not that Florida still has a presence. The Florida State Police have a presence on the Texas border. But the rumblings now are more than just rumblings. They are, there's legislation in place ready to be voted on. Secession legislation, Texas leaving the Union. I do not see how, you know, the the thing you would normally think is, okay, this is a Republican thing, this is a MAGA thing, this is all about Trump. Um, that's not what's going on in Texas. They do like Trump, but um, this isn't about having a place for Trump to be president of, despite what Trump may be thinking. This is about Texas really seriously considering becoming a country of its own. And if it did, if Texas were its own nation, we've gone through, where Texas would rank with the rest of the world, and Texas has a bigger economy than Russia. Russia has probably 8 times the land mass of Texas. Texas has a bigger economy than Russia. So as absurd as it may sound, they are really considering, if Biden is reelected, then Texas will probably at least scream awfully loud if they don't actually secede from the Union. So look for that to come if we have elections in 2024. I've already said neither Biden nor Trump will be president. I'm still standing behind that, and we'll see how it plays out. The closer we get to internal conflict, or the closer we get to a black swan debilitating event. Again, we're going to talk about this tomorrow night with Chris. The closer we get to those two, either one of those events, the more likely. I mean, if one of those two things happens, martial law will be declared. There's already a plan drawn up for dividing the continental United States into 10 different zones. You can look at FEMA, and it's already drawn up the 10 different zones that the country would be divided by and militarily controlled. We don't want that, or at least I don't. I hope you don't. I'm pretty certain you don't. I think I know the community that checks out this program. We need to start giving a crap. We really do. We need to start paying attention to everything. And by everything, I mean, we need to pay attention to what's happening in the world. And we damn sure need to pay attention to what's happening in our countries and in our own states. Indiana's Attorney General has put up a website where you can, if you don't like a teacher, you can report them as being a socialist. The Lord told Mike Johnson very clearly to prepare to come Moses. I said this the other night, and somebody emailed me and accused me of lying, basically, but it's right here. And So there you go. For those that doubted, Mike Johnson thinks he's Moses. Now I'm not going to disparage God potentially messaging people. I am going to ask that you look deeply into Mike Johnson's background before you get too carried away with declaring him Moses, if you're among that ilk. Talked about the other day that Alex Jones said farewell. He was quitting. Well, the Sandy Hook families have decided to liquidate Alex Jones' assets to settle the $1.5 billion defamation judgment against him. So now we know, as Paul Harvey used to say, the rest of the story. Democratic politicians in Chicago have placed over 3,000 illegal immigrants in this one abandoned factory alone. One of the talking points, and justifiably so, they're taking resources away from the Black community to compensate what they call, quote, the new Americans, end quote. That's the reason, basically, I brought this up, because I had not heard this term before being used by authorities, calling these people the new Americans. In New York City, the city council has called for an investigation of Mayor Adams. The mayor planned to give illegals $10,000 debit cards. A $53 million contract would give Mobility Capital Finance, who the New York mayor touts as minority-owned, lots of fees for services, including $125,000 for a one-time setup fee. The Democratic City Council has decided that maybe this isn't the best idea, and they've begun to investigate the action. So Chicago, by the way, has asked to be taken off of the sanctuary cities list. Again, 911 call, over 100 migrants attacking security officers and off-duty policemen at this Chicago Home Depot. And that happened 2 days ago at 2:04 p.m. All right. This is the last little bit of this segment. The idea of a direct energy weapon. Now, there are a lot of things up in our skies, satellite-wise. And Russia has been putting some things up there. We ourselves have our own, I'm relatively certain of. And this is an image. This is two different images out of many that were taken in Mexico, showing either a direct energy beam coming down in from two different views, the same energy beam, or this is a laser being shot up. We cannot, I can't tell which. But again, we got two different views. And it was captured on different locations, two different locations shown here. So at the same time, there was a no-fly zone issued over the Southern Rocky Mountains, the eastern part of California, and the Southern Rocky Mountains, a 450-mile no-fly zone when this was going on. So, nothing suspicious about a group of Syrians walking across the U.S. border wearing 5.11 tactical gear. And again, you can see the 5.11 gear. Nice Nike bags. And they are coming to, they said they were coming to avoid the Taliban, is what they said they were doing. And in case you missed it the other night, I'll end with this before I hop back over to the chat and talk to people for a while. If anybody has any questions or anything, get them ready now. I'll be over there and discuss for a couple of minutes. World Economic Forum's permanent climate lockdowns. Okay. Now we've talked on here before about how the magnetic poles are shifting, and they continue to shift, and how our magnetic field is weakening, and how this is going to cause an increase in temperatures, a climate crisis. All right. It's not created by man. It's not created by cow farts. Okay, this is saying this stuff. It will probably get me a little tag underneath saying the United Nations says climate's caused by man. Well, they're not scientists. They're not even. Never mind. The climate is going to change. All right, the climate is changing. I think if you ought to be able to see it if you've been alive long enough, the climate is changing. However, there are a lot of people trying to profit off of it. A lot of people. WEF, WHO, UN, Al Gore, John Kerry, Bill Gates. I could go on and on. But the WHO treaty specifically states that, quote, climate can be used as a health crisis. So permanent climate lockdowns, locking down people permanent lockdown. Not you're going to be you're going to have to stay inside for 5 days until COVID's over. Not you're going to have to stay inside 6 weeks because we don't know what this COVID is. No, permanent. That means that wherever you're at, that's where you are. You're not going to be able to travel. You're not going to be able to probably go outside your 15-minute city if they have the way they want. And they will have it the way they want unless we wake up and start giving a rat's ass about these things. WHO Pandemic Treaty. In case you didn't hear this the other night, and I did a little 6-minute video, we are undergoing a soft coup under the pretext of pandemic preparedness and biosecurity and the biosecurity agenda. Here's what this nice old lady's saying. All right.
We're undergoing a soft coup, and the idea is to create a whole new set of laws and ignore the existing human rights laws and other laws under the pretext of pandemic preparedness and the biosecurity agenda. The WHO is developing through all its nations, but with the WHO Directorate in the United States in charge, a pandemic treaty and amendments to the existing international health regulations that will remove the human rights protections currently embedded in the IHRs, will enforce surveillance, censorship, get rid of freedom of speech, require governments to censor and only push a single narrative.
If you're not saying, oh, hell no, what's the matter? What are we waiting for? Just something to think about. All right, let me hop back over here to the chat and see if anybody has any questions or comments before we get off here. Sorry about the hair. Again, I wasn't planning on doing this today until all this started happening. And a reminder, Chris and I will be on tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern, and you'll be able to join us. We're going to be talking about a lot of things. Haiti, there's some stuff happening in Haiti we haven't mentioned in a while. Of course, Israel and Hamas are still battling in Gaza, and innocents are still being killed. We've kind of told you already, we've already played that out. So there's no use really, going episode after episode saying the same things over and over again, but we will be touching on that again tomorrow night. Let's see. Let me see if I can read some of the comments down here. Maybe they're worried about some ancient plague or 3 emerging from the melting ice caps. Absolutely. Yeah, I'm worried about that. If you believe the climate theory and the tilting poles and the fact that the earth itself has tilted, Iceland is green and Greenland is under ice up until recently. So at some point in history, Greenland was green and Iceland was covered with ice. They have reversed. There are samples of various things taken in polar climates that show us that at one time those climates weren't polar. So yeah, as things melt, there is that potential of a plague or a virus or a bacteria that has been frozen and long forgotten. That's yet another thing that we need to be aware of. We can't do anything about that. We can't do anything about it. If that's unleashed, that's going to be unleashed. And or if it has been unleashed, it already has been unleashed. We can't do anything about that. We can do something about elitists wanting to terminate 87.9% of us, because that's what they want to do. They want to do it peacefully and humanely. Chemtrails, is that a possibility? Up until about 18 months ago, I would have said, no, come on. But yeah, very much so. They've happened here. They've happened where I'm at. They've happened when other people were here with me. And I've said, come out here and look at this. And can you smell how different the air smells? It just smells weird. And you have a snowfall, and the snow comes down and it looks like little styrofoam balls. And instead of a fresh, clean smell in the air after a snowfall, you've got this chemical smell. We've been lied to. We are being lied to. And those lies cause division. Those lies ferment hate, where hate should not be permeating, but yet it is. Echo Romeo, we are seeing that a great deal of the illegals refuse to assimilate. You can't bring them here without here becoming there. You can't bring them here without here becoming there. Okay, you can't bring people in mass from the third world without the United States becoming the third world, I think is what Echo's trying to say. Echo Romeo is trying to say. And I get that. There's a case. It's either in Texas or Arizona, and a legal migrant killed either a deputy, I think it was a deputy sheriff or a police officer, one of the two, and is claiming that he can't be tried under the American Disabilities Act because he doesn't speak the language. So he is disabled. So he needs to have special treatment in this trial, which I don't know. Anyway, so I get that sentiment. Let's see, peace, love, and sunshine. There are already spores being released from the permafrost from long ago. We're, the permafrost, when there is a major market for ivory still, and they go into remote areas in what used to be the Soviet Union, and they melt the permafrost. They're finding woolly mammoths, and they're using their tusks. They're selling their tusks for exorbitant amounts of money. There are things that have already been released, and it will continue. And if humanity gets taken out that way, we can't do anything about that. If we allow ourselves to be taken out simply because we don't give a rat's ass, shame on us. Shame on us. But we need to take the World Health Organization. We need to take the World Economic Forum. We need to take the plans and agendas of the United Nations. We need to take them seriously. When they are telling us in their own words what they're going to do, why they're going to do it, who they're going to do it to, and I'm going to do another episode talking about all this stuff again and showing you the same stuff I've shown you before, until people start spreading the word that, hey, we need to pay attention. We need to pay attention. This isn't the United States that if you're 40 or over, this isn't the United States that you grew up in. It's not the same country anymore. And as far as taking that back, that's not going to happen. However, making sure it starts to get better and making damn sure it doesn't get any worse ought to be the first priority of every person that considers themselves an American and cares about the country and the people in it. So, Toby and Kelly, you notice nobody says illegal aliens. Yeah, and there's a reason for that, because we don't know. They haven't told us yet what's really going on with the alien, the interdimensional, the interplanetary, the interstellar, whatever beings that supposedly exist, the craft that we see, the technology we see, the things that we see that are not of this earth, are of somewhere. So yeah, you don't hear illegal aliens anymore, because what are you talking about? Are you talking about ET alien, or are you talking about somebody that crosses the border that has come here from China? And I can't. Maybe that's the whole plan. Maybe it's just keep unleashing stuff until everybody becomes so overwhelmed that it's just like, okay, we quit. I'm not going to pay attention to any of it anymore. You do what you want, because that's what they want. You know, that they want everybody to just say, okay, whatever you want to do, that's what we're going to do. Tired of fighting. I'm tired of, we can't do that. That's not what America was built on or based on. And it's not what the future of America will be built on or based on, if there is such a thing. It will be what it always has been. It will be the people making the change, whatever that looks like, however that plays out. And on that note, why are all the elite building bunkers? Because they know at some point we're going to go, no, that's enough. That's enough. You're not our overlords. Yeah, you got a lot of money at the moment, but that can all be taken away. May not be by the current rules, but the rules could change. Things could happen when there's an uprising, and I think they are aware that they are creating it. And instead of doing something to make things better, they're going to try to protect themselves when it gets so bad that we can't stand it anymore. What's that say about them? What's that say about them? Because we will rise up. The only thing that's ever changed is because the people have changed it. And the people will change it at some point. Maybe. If enough give a rat's ass, they will. If not, then we'll get sold down the river, as the saying goes. At least if aliens invaded, all the grumpy countries of the earth would have to band together. You would think they would. You would think they would. I mean, that's what movies show us, First thing comes to my mind is Independence Day. And, it's the 4th of July. It's the end of freedom for the whole world. All the countries communicating. And you'd like to think that would happen. It depends, I can see leaders of countries selling out the rest of the world for their own good. I'm not saying that has already happened, but I would say that the United States might have already made arrangements with interdimensional, extraterrestrial, whatever term we want to use for the beings that are not of Earth. If they do exist, if communications have been established, which I believe they have, I believe that it goes back to the 1930s, at the very least, if not farther back. And you would think that we would unite as a race, as a human species. You would think that we would unite, but I don't know, maybe I'm cynical, but I imagine one country would sell out the rest of the world for that country's survival. And that's, you know, I don't think that's what the concept of God would be about. The concept of Christianity is about. But I think that's what humanity is about, unfortunately. All right. Go back and see my last post. Says not going away. Breaking news: judge issues terse rejection of Trump's demand to pause. Okay. All right. I knew that was going to be ruled today. Thank you, not going away. So apparently the judge has told Trump, no, you don't have 30 days to try to come up with a $500 million to appeal. So now that ruling, this is another domino thing here. Now that ruling's taken place, the Attorney General of New York, the state of New York, can start seizing Trump assets until they've seized enough assets to equal the value of his fine. So at the moment, roughly $400 million, almost $500 million, and he doesn't have it on cash. Otherwise, if he had the money in cash, he would have just posted it and went on with the appeal. But he doesn't have the money, and he was asking for 30 days to try to raise the money. I myself even speculated because Elon Musk flew into the Mar-a-Lago area and out relatively quickly. Speculation that Musk went there to offer Trump $500 million to pay his fine in exchange for something, or in protection of something such as information about the Epstein Island, perhaps. Speculation. So we'll see how that plays out. That's going to put pressure on Trump, because if he doesn't want to lose those assets, he's going to have to come up with he's going to either have to pay the fine, or he's going to have to come up with the amount which he would pay for the fine to put down as a deposit in order to appeal. And if things play the way they have been playing, the Attorney General of New York is not going to waste any time. I think her name's Letitia James. She's not going to waste any time in trying to take over those Trump assets. And by the way, on the fringes, you're hearing how successful the New York trucker thing is, and shelves are emptied and all that. Not hearing any of that. I'm not hearing any of that. I'm not saying there aren't truckers who are refusing to go into New York. I'm sure there are. Again, a lot of people have refused to go in New York City for a long time. They don't, just because they don't want to go in the city. So it's pretty easy for some of those. It's pretty easy for some guy in Oklahoma to say, I ain't going to New York City. Well, no, you're not. You never do. You never have. So it's pretty easy to make that claim that but not saying it can't catch on. I'm just saying that I'm not hearing any of that. And with that being said, again, the Trump thing is real. And she will start taking his properties as soon as she possibly can, if I'm not mistaken. And it's his own fault. He committed fraud. He devalued his property. If any of us did it, we would be in jail. Well, we wouldn't have got the loan to begin with. All right. If we would have, he said Mar-a-Lago was the same value as this brand new mega structure that was built in Dubai, I think, you know, he valued Mar-a-Lago at like $1.3 billion. And the actual property value was like 22 million. So that's significant fraud. And he's going to have to pay for that. Now, the path he is, instead of just saying, you're right, you know, I'll pay for it and move along, he took the Donald Trump path, and he's still fighting it. He's fight it. The more he fights it, the more they're putting on him. And eventually, either he's going to have to come up with $500 million, or he's going to lose Trump Tower or whatever the properties he has, all the way up and including potentially Mar-a-Lago and the golf courses. So gone on a little longer than I thought I would. I was on for an hour. I've been on for an hour. Let me look down here and see bigger doings. Thank you for being here. Trump knew that, filed for appeal reasons. Trump has the money. Okay, we'll see. We'll see what happens there if he has the money. Elena Hobbs, his attorney, talked about it last night. Well, don't. Okay, if you want to put your faith in Elena Hobbs, rock on. I personally do not and would not, but you know, that's just me. Guy named Chicago Ray calling for all the truckers to not go to New York, but changed his mind and took his stuff down. Yeah, but he's also since then came back, I think, and you know, and said that nobody was going to scare him off or whatever. But anyway, all right. I've already been on for over an hour. I don't like to be on for over an hour. That way, the majority of people watch it at their convenience instead of watching live. So I like to keep it at a watchable distance, a watchable time frame. So I'll get off of here. I'll say thank you very much for being here. There are tons of channels, and I appreciate you clicking on here and spending some time watching this one. We'll be back on tomorrow night at 9 p.m. We'll have a little longer episode tomorrow night at 9. And again, the link will be up if you want to come up and come up on the platform, and you have a question, you have a comment, you have whatever you want to hop up here. We'll give you a few minutes, and if you're somebody we know and you want to hop up, you know, then there won't be any time constraints. But we're going to open it up because there's so much going on that things that are significant sometimes get overlooked, and we do not want to do that. And if it's important, we need to be talking about it. So again, communication breakdown, in my personal opinion, we're looking at a limited cyber attack, a probe to see how the systems responded, to see how easily the access was attained, and I think we'll see more of them. I don't think it was based on solar flares in any way, shape, or form, personally. So that's our top story, and we'll be back tomorrow night. We'll do it all again, 9 p.m. Eastern time. That's 8 Central, 7 in the mountains, and 6 on the West Coast. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for clicking on. Love you all like chocolate chip cookies. You know I mean that. It's a dark world. Try to be a light. Hit the subscribe, hit the like, hit the share. You want to email? American Doofus, AmericanDufus, American Doofus, all one word, at gmail.com. You want to buy me a coffee, support the show, throw a few bucks my way. The easiest way to do that is through the Cash App, $, AmericandUFus, American Doofus. Thanks for clicking on. This has been Eyes Open. We'll see you next time.